Hello and welcome to English Podcast with FTJ. I'm your host FTJ, and this is the place where you can improve your English through simple, clear, and real-life conversations. Whether you're at home, commuting, or just relaxing, get ready to learn, practice, and grow your English skills one episode at a time. Let's get started. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt stuck in your English studies like you're memorizing vocabulary, drilling grammar, and still not getting the results you want? That's so common, and it's usually because we focus too much on studying and not enough on absorbing. Now, imagine this. What if the fastest way to unlock real fluency was actually by listening, just listening a lot more than you think? Here's the thing. Listening is the foundation of language acquisition. Think of it like building muscle memory for your ears. When you hear real conversations, your brain starts wiring itself for English, just like it did for your first language. You might be thinking, but isn't speaking more important? Actually, consistent listening is what empowers you to speak naturally, with better pronunciation, intonation, and confidence. It's the quiet force behind powerful language learning. So today, I'm going to break down why listening is your secret weapon, and how you can use it to finally make English stick. Ever feel like you've hit a wall, where no matter how many grammar rules you memorize, your English just doesn't improve? That's the plateau effect, and it's usually a sign you're missing real-world input. Here's where listening comes in. When you expose yourself to authentic English audio like podcasts, interviews, or TV, you start picking up on language patterns and rhythm automatically. This is called input-based learning, and it's what children do when they learn their first words. Let me tell you a story. I once had a student named Alex who could ace grammar tests but froze during conversations. When he started listening to 10 minutes of English radio every day, he finally broke through his plateau and speaking confidence soared. Now you might be thinking, isn't that too simple? But science backs it up. Exposure to natural language or comprehensible input is what drives fluency, not just memorizing word lists. So if you're stuck, remember listening is your ladder out of the plateau. Make it a habit and watch your progress take off. Let's tackle a big fear, speaking English in real life. Have you ever hesitated to join a conversation because you're worried you won't understand or that you'll freeze up? That anxiety is normal, but listening is the antidote. When you listen regularly, your brain becomes familiar with the natural pace and flow of English. This is called phonological awarenesses. It's like training your ears to catch the music of the language. Picture this. The more you listen, the more automatic your responses become. You start to recognize sentence structures and typical phrases, so you're not translating in your head anymore. Now, you might say, but what if I make mistakes? That's okay. Listening helps you spot errors before you say them, like having a mental spell check for your speech. So, if you want to speak with confidence, start by listening. It's the silent practice that prepares you for real conversations. Have you ever wondered how you learned your first language? You didn't start with grammar books, you started by listening. This is called natural acquisition, and it's just as effective for adults as for kids. Think about it. Children absorb language through thousands of hours of hearing it used naturally. They pick up collocations words that commonly go together just by exposure. Let me tell you a story. When I was learning Spanish, I stopped obsessing over verb charts and started listening to Spanish radio. Suddenly, I could understand and respond without translating every word. Now, you might be thinking, but isn't adult learning different? Not really. Your brain is still wired to learn through listening, especially with repeated exposure. So, if you want to learn English the way you learned your first language, start with input. Listen first and let speaking come naturally. Let's talk strategy. How can you actually fit listening into your busy life? The answer is simple consistency beats intensity. Even 5 or 10 minutes a day will have more impact than a 2-hour binge once a week. This is called habit stacking. Attach listening to something you already do like during your commute, while cooking, or right before bed. The key is to make it regular, so your brain expects it. Now, you might be thinking, but I don't have time. But what if you swapped scrolling social media for a quick podcast? Those minutes add up fast. Let me give you a tip. Set a reminder on your phone or use a dedicated playlist. The more frictionless you make it, the more likely you'll stick with it. Remember, language is marathon, not a sprint. Consistent listening builds up your skills day by day until understanding English feels automatic. Here's a key distinction. Are you actively listening or just letting English play in the background? Both have value, but active listening where you focus and engage drives faster results. Active listening means paying close attention to pronunciation and intonation patterns, the musical ups and downs of speech. Try pausing, repeating, and mimicking what you hear. This is called shadowing, and it works wonders for your accent and rhythm. Now you might wonder, is passive listening useless? Not at all. Even background audio helps your brain acclimate to new sounds, kind of like how you get used to a new song after hearing it a few times. Mix both styles. Listen actively for 10 minutes, then play English radio while you're doing chores. It's the combination that turbocharges your progress. So don't just listen, engage. The more you interact with the audio, the faster you'll develop real-world fluency. Let's be real. If you're bored, you'll quit. The secret is to choose listening material that genuinely interests you: sports podcasts, cooking shows, travel vlogs, or even stand-up comedy. This taps into intrinsic motivation. When you're interested, you learn faster and remember more. Your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical, making learning feel like a reward. Now, you might ask, what if my English isn't good enough to understand everything? That's okay. Start with simpler content, use subtitles, or slow down the playback speed. The point is to enjoy the process, not stress over perfection. Let me tell you a story. I once binged a cooking channel to improve my Italian. I picked up kitchen vocabulary and even learned jokes because I was having fun. So, give yourself permission to explore. When you love what you're hearing, you'll stick with it, and that's when the magic happens. Here's a challenge. English comes in so many accents: American, British, Australian, and tons of regional varieties. At first, this can feel overwhelming or even discouraging. But here's the opportunity. By listening to a mix of accents, you're training your brain for phonemic awareness, the ability to recognize and distinguish sounds, no matter who's speaking. You might be thinking, should I just stick to one accent? Not at all. In the real world, English is global. The more varieties you hear, the better you'll understand everyone from New York to New Delhi. Try alternating between accents and American podcasts today, a British movie tomorrow, maybe even a South African news clip next week. It's like a workout for your ears. Remember, the goal isn't to sound like any one group, it's to understand everyone. Diversity in listening, confidence in conversations wherever you go. Let's face it, textbooks teach you rules, but they rarely show you how people really speak. Listening exposes you to idioms, colorful expressions, and contractions that make English sound alive. For example, textbooks might say, I'm going to leave now. Real life, you'll hear, I'm gonna head out. Only by listening do you pick up these shortcuts. Let me give you another. Instead of that is not possible, native speakers say, no way, or not gonna happen. These phrases make your English natural and relatable. Now, you might ask, what if I don't understand slang? That's fine. Listen with curiosity, jot down new expressions, and try using them in your own sentences. You'll build a living vocabulary, not just a list. So, if you want to sound and understand like a native, make listening to real conversations your daily practice. Have you noticed that English has a certain musical flow-ups and downs, pauses, and changes in speed? This is called prosody, the rhythm and melody of speech. When you listen closely, you pick up on stress patterns, which words get emphasized, and intonation, how pitch rises or falls to show emotion or meaning. Let me tell you a secret. Mastering prosody helps you sound natural and understand subtext. For example, the phrase really can mean surprise, doubt, or excitement depending on how it's said. Now you might be thinking, how can I learn this? The answer is simple: imitate what you hear. Try repeating, matching the rhythm and emotion, even if you feel silly at first. With time, you'll not only understand every word, you'll feel the meaning behind the words. That's the real power of listening. Let's bring it all together. Listening isn't just about understanding other sites, about preparing your brain to speak fluently and confidently. When you listen, your brain creates mental chunks, groups of words that naturally go together. This makes speaking smoother because you're not building sentences word by word. You might wonder, when will I know I'm ready to speak? The answer, when you start hearing the same phrases again and again and they just click. Let me challenge you. Next time you listen, pick one new phrase and use it in a real conversation or even when talking to yourself. That's how input becomes output. Remember, every minute you spend listening is an investment in your future fluency. So keep your ears open, the world of English is waiting for you. Let me ask you, have you ever felt nervous speaking English, worried you'll make a mistake? You're not alone. But here's the secret: confidence isn't just about speaking, it starts with listening. Think of listening as the foundation of a house. If the base is strong, you can build as high as you want. The more you listen, the more stable your English becomes. Now, you might be thinking, how does listening make me sound better? Well, each time you hear real emotions like excitement or disappointment, you're learning not just words, but how to express yourself naturally. That's called prosody, the rhythm and melody of language. When you recognize these patterns, you start to mirror them. Suddenly, you're not just learning English, you're living it, sounding more engaging and connected. So, the next time you listen, remember this: you're building a foundation for confident, authentic communication. That's where real progress begins. Have you ever noticed how you can tell if someone's joking or upset, even if you miss a few words? That's all thanks to emotional cues, the subtle signals in tone and pace that guide conversations. This skill is called paralinguistics, and it's a game changer. By tuning into these hints, you become a better listener and, more importantly, a better communicator. Now, imagine joining a group conversation. If you can pick up when someone is serious or playful, you're not just understanding words, you're understanding meaning. Here's the challenge: start listening for these cues. Ask yourself, how does the speaker feel? It's like reading between the lines. Over time, you'll find yourself responding more naturally, building stronger connections, and truly being part of the conversation. Let's bust a myth. You don't need perfect English to connect with people. In fact, native speakers make mistakes all the time using fillers like you know, and even mixing up grammar. This is called authentic speech. It's messy, spontaneous, and that's what makes it real. Now, you might worry, what if I make a mistake? But let me tell you a story. I once heard a native speaker say he don't like pizza. Did everyone understand? Absolutely. Instead of focusing on every rule, aim for connection. The goal isn't flawless grammar, but meaningful conversation. So next time you stumble, remember, it's not about perfection, it's about being understood. That's true communication. Picture this. You're listening to someone talk, and suddenly a word flies over your head. Panic? Not necessary. Your brain is an expert at using context clues, hints from surrounding words and situations to fill in the blanks. For example, if you hear, I had a rough day, everything went wrong, even if rough is new, you get the gist. It was a bad day. This process is called inference, and it's a core skill for fluent listening. So next time you miss a word, ask yourself, what's the main idea here? That's all you need to keep the conversation flowing. Ever wonder how children pick up languages so fast? It's all about pattern recognition, your brain's ability to notice repeated combinations of words and sounds. Each time you listen, you're training your mind to recognize collocations pairs like make a decision or take a break and sentence structures. You might be thinking, but do I have to memorize lists? Not at all. By exposing yourself to real conversations, you'll start picking up these patterns without even trying. This natural method is called implicit learning, and it's how native speakers build fluency. So trust your brain. The more you listen, the more automatic these patterns become. Let's talk about subtitles. Some people think using them is cheating, but it's actually a powerful strategy for language learners. When you watch with English subtitles, you're connecting spoken words to their written form. This boosts both your listening comprehension and your reading skills. Here's a tip. Start with subtitles on, then gradually turn them off as you grow confident. You'll notice improvements in pronunciation and intonation, the musical quality of language. If something trips you up, pause and replay. Write down new phrases for your own vocabulary list. That's called active learning. And remember, learning should feel fun. Enjoy your favorite shows and let subtitles be your training wheels to fluency. Let's dive deeper into learning vocabulary. Memorizing lists is tough, but hearing words in real situations, that's how you truly remember them. When you encounter a word like exhausted in, I was absolutely exhausted after work, you feel its meaning through context and emotion. This is called contextual learning, and it's proven to create stronger memory links than rote memorization. Plus, you pick up collocations words that naturally go together, making your English sound more native-like. So the next time you hear a new word, focus on the situation, the feeling, and the sentence. That's how vocabulary sticks. Let's get practical. Why does good listening matter outside the classroom? Imagine understanding directions at an airport, following instructions at work, or joining a friendly chat. These everyday scenarios require comprehension, not just vocabulary. That's where listening shines. You might be thinking, will this really help me make friends? Absolutely. Jokes, stories, even casual conversations become opportunities to connect when you can follow along. In job interviews or presentations, strong listening skills help you respond quickly and impress others with your fluency. So remember, every bit of listening practice brings you closer to living, not just learning in English. Here's the golden rule. Consistency beats intensity. Just 10 or 15 minutes of listening a day can transform your skills over time. Pick something you love, a podcast, a TV show, or your favorite music. When you're engaged, your brain is primed for learning. You might wonder, is a little bit every day really enough? Science says yes. This is called spaced repetition, regular, brief practice that leads to long-term mastery. Make listening part of your routine, like brushing your teeth. The results will surprise you. So start today. The more you listen, the more you grow. Every session is a step closer to fluency. Let's wrap up with a challenge. Can you commit to listening to English every day, just for a few minutes? Choose content that excites you. Set a timer. Make it a habit. Imagine how much more confident you'll feel in conversations, understanding jokes, or handling important situations. If you ever feel stuck, remember, progress is built on small, consistent steps. Replay audio, use subtitles, write down new words, whatever helps you stay engaged. So, are you ready? The journey to English fluency starts with a single listen. Let's do this together, and if you need support, reach out. I'm cheering you on every step of the way. Thanks for listening to English Podcast with FTJ. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow and share it with your friends. Keep practicing, keep listening, and remember, every day is a step closer to fluency. See you next time.